Jim was like that.
In addition to crossing on the segmental phonological level, we can also look at crossing on the level of voice quality. For example, in the excerpt I'll play for you next, in number 4 on the handout, Lou uses falsetto, a register typically associated with African American males, including Alex, but not Columbia Indians. In this excerpt, the two are talking about common acquaintances and are complaining about a know-it-all named Jim, who always used to brag and pick on a friend of theirs whose nickname is Juice. They then switch into talking about a friend named Justin, whose nickname seems to be Wiener. This excerpt is also interesting in that it illustrates how shifts from a jocular to more serious frame can be signaled not only by stylistic variation on the lexical, morphosyntactic, and segmental phonological level, but also by changes in voice quality, and that we sometimes don't line up all of our shifts at once, as you'll be able to hear in Lou's false start in line 25. Cases where the two move into falsetto register are indicated in bold, but of course some of the shifts are gradual and there's a gradient between normal pitch range and what we might consider to be falsetto.
That Jim has always been like that. I think he has real low self-esteem. And so whenever you have low self-esteem, sometimes you try to act real arrogant. Yeah. You know, like you know, like he knew everything. You can always have to ask him something. And that kind of stuff get on your nerves after a while. Nobody knows everything.
I never met C in college, and never met C in high school.
And he was lying. He was lying, though. Every person at some point in their life is going to be conceited. Because you ain't perfect at everything.
He always brag about it.
Always brag.
Lord, I ain't hear him brag about him. How good is his Spain? He was good at this. He was just, sometimes I wanted to kill him.
Yeah, I bet you my GPA was that near.
Picking at juice. You know, Wiener?
That's the juice all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Wiener called that today. Yeah, we wrote in Broadway.
Yeah, I miss him too.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's turn to the second interview. This one takes place between the two participants from the first interview and another African American, a young woman who grew up and currently lives in Robeson County and who I'll call Felicia. This time Alex and Lou act as interviewers, with Alex taking the lead role by asking most of the questions and in general directing the course of the interview. As we know, Alex and Lou are by no means strangers to each other, and in addition both are somewhat acquainted with Felicia. Lou went to the same high school she did, graduating shortly before her, and Alex is somewhat acquainted with her through his family connections in Robeson County. Despite the participants' familiarity with one another, the interview is quite rigidly structured, and Alex pretty closely follows the interview questionnaire that had been designed ahead of time, even to the point of sometimes abruptly changing the subject in the middle of animated discussions in order to get all his questions in. Despite Alex's rather forceful handling of the interview, Felicia talks quite freely throughout, producing lots of speech that would be considered to be vernacular AAVE, as evidenced by high usage levels for such classic features as R-lessness, monophonal I, copula absence, and even possessive S absence, as in Granddaddy House for Granddaddy's House, a feature usually considered to be rare in AAVE. However, even in this interview, we find cases of crossing. Not surprisingly, some of this occurs in the section on language, when Alex asks Felicia about the different ethnic varieties in Robeson County, and she responds by performing both white and Lumbee speech. This excerpt is transcribed in 5, and I'll play that for you now.
What do you think about the way the black people talk, the way the Indians talk, and the way the white people talk? Is it different?
Most definitely, because you know, black people use slang like, what's up, you know? And like buddy jack, cuz, and all that stuff. And you know, the white people, you know, they try to talk like hypothetically and all this, you know, so respectable and big, oh, Lord. They have to pronounce all their vowels and all that stuff.
How you ever heard Indians say fire?
Far? Far?
Far? You heard Indians say that?
And they don't never say children and youngs.
Young.
And they're trying to say young ones, them youngs. And if they do say children, they say them children.
In addition to performing white and Lumbee speech, Felicia is also performing her own ethnic variety, an issue I'll return to in a minute. This excerpt also gives us another example of Lou's crossing into what might be seen as African American voice quality with his falsetto production of "There It Is." In these cases of overtly performative crossing, Felicia focuses mostly on the lexical level of language, noting white people's use of big words like hypothetically and respectable, as well as Lumbie's use of nicknames like cuz and words like young'uns for children. She also performs the Lumbie's pronunciation of fire as far, but she seems to consider this a case of lexical variation and does not mention it any other example words with monophthongal I before R, although Lou does seem to. Felicia also indicates some awareness of white people's different pronunciations, though she points mostly to their precision, and interestingly also performs this precision in her production of hypothetically, rather than any specific phonological or morphosyntactic features. There are other instances of what we might call crossing, where the shift seems far less self-conscious. One of these occurs when Alex, still dutifully following the interview questionnaire, asks Felicia if Robeson County is a good place to live. She gives a brief reply, but then introduces a topic of her own, which she expands on at great length, her plans for the future. Part of this discussion is transcribed in number 6 on the handout, and I'll play this for you now.
You think this is a good place to live?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good place because you don't get in trouble. I mean, and it's peaceful. But I'm not going to be here all my life because I'm going to pursue a career of singing. Because I can do that.
Oh, yeah? Where you want to go?
But mine, she works in Charlotte. And she stayed behind her uncle. And there's a place where she said I can go down to Charlotte and sing and audition. And I can get into a studio and cut a demo. So that's what I'm trying to do. You know, but I'm going to go to school. I want to go to school for chemistry.
Where do you want to go?
I haven't really made my mind. I'm going for chemistry. I'm going to 4-year college. I'm going for chemistry to blow some stuff up.
You would you like to start a community college? That's what I thought I should have done.
But I have the ability, you know, I'm capable of, you know, fulfilling whatever it is that I want to do. So I think that I can, you know, go to a 4-year college and do just as good as anybody that's finished 4 years. I mean, because I have that, you know, I have that capability.
Although Felicia is not obviously trying to imitate anyone else in this excerpt, she does become more standard, or we might say standard white, in talking about her future and her ability to fulfill her dreams. For example, although her overall level of R-lessness in the interview is 40%, with levels climbing to more than 50% in certain animated narratives, her level of R-lessness is only 17% when she talks about her future plans, and in fact only about 8% if we don't count highly reduced tokens like 4, as in for chemistry. Certainly such topic-based stylistic variation is nothing new, but it is interesting in the context of this interview, since this section occurs shortly before the excerpt in 5, where she pokes fun at the precise pronunciations she herself sometimes employs, as well as big words which are not dissimilar from her own elevated diction when she talks about having the capability of fulfilling whatever it is she wants to do.